Hey, Chris.
Yeah, man. What's up?
Did you know you can like break the laws of physics and you can import a whole style sheet into your JavaScript?
You can import a whole style sheet in JavaScript.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know you could just fetch. You could
hmm
fetch a CSS file, but then you just have like a string.
Yeah. Let's do it the official way. Can I show you how?
Official way. Sure,
To
man.
the code
Looks like you
pen.
to
Look at
well,
this code pen light mode. I don't know. I'm kind of into it. I don't
we'll have to
know.
do the
It's
whole site
weird.
at some point. We've made some steps, but yeah.
I'm kind of into it. Okay, so like whatever. I have some HTML,
Div.
right?
Yep.
Div, I should be green. A ref, that's going to look kind of linky. And then I should be italic, but I put it in a bold tag because like I'm just challenging conventions. And then, and then like when you style stuff, it should also work with IDs and data attributes and classes, right?
Yeah.
And so like the normal way to do this, right, would be
Yeah.
like a style sheet. You do a style sheet, bingo bingo, it's updated,
Green,
right?
italic, bold as a yep. This
Yep.
is Yeah, wow,
So
nailed it. Okay,
should
all those
should work.
things.
Okay,
That's just CSS.
that's just CSS. That's boring.
Okay.
Okay, but you could like in ancient times, and this is kind of how like fit text works, right? Like we could like make an inner
Oh,
HTML string
give
and
us a
like a
string. Yeah.
and like append it and stuff. I don't know. This actually does not work like in IE. IE hates this. You have to do this weird like inject a div into the head, which
Oh,
actually like
really?
we just learned closes the head, right? Like or I just learned. Anyway, that's a problem. Like it doesn't
Okay.
that's it but the trick I'm going to show you doesn't work in IE either. But like this is okay. Like it works. It's kind of gritty, but you still are kind of like with a giant string, right? Like you still have like
Yeah,
this
and I could see. I
like
mean, it's a template literal, so I guess you could template it to some degree, but it's not like you can. There's not like programmatic control. Like you can't like loop over things or whatever.
yeah. You're kind of like unless you want to like write 9,000 lines of like CSS parser in JavaScript or something in your code pen.
Oh, sure. You could
Probably
ship
not.
post CSS right in the client.
Yeah, why not? Like, sure. So let's go a different route. Okay. So I'm gonna
Okay.
do a different route. So there's this new thing and it's coming out in Chrome 93. I'm on Edge Dev right here, but I think Chrome 93 is like literally dropping this week, or that we are recording this or whatever. Not to predate this, but so you can basically create a style sheet called new CSS style sheet, and
Oh,
then your
which is like,
styles are
what don't they
this
call that a constructible style sheet?
constructible style sheet, correct?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do a little bit of changes here. So the next thing you do is you
Yeah.
created a blank style sheet here, and I could actually like you want me to console log this style sheet? Let's do that.
Yeah,
And
maybe. I mean, just
then
because what is it? Like it's like a special kind of thing.
yeah, it's probably going to be like it comes out as like a CSS style sheet. And what's cool about this is here, let me juice this up for the at home reader. Oh, okay, it's going wild. Here we go. Um, so it has CSS style sheets from
Oh,
but that's from like my, oh yeah, these are all these things. So it's already like
that's funny that
replaced this.
when you log it,
Let me,
it
it logged a later state, I guess, or maybe it like is a
yeah, or it's like
reactive
live
thing.
updating state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
live up. So I have a blank style sheet, right, with no rules.
Yeah.
That's okay. But yeah, let's replace the styles in the style sheet. And because I'm feel like synchronous, I want to like, and you'll notice the style sheet's not in here yet, right? So
Yeah, you've just programmatically created this style
yeah.
sheet.
So now I have a style sheet with some CSS rules, and you can see
Right.
like it all splits out. The CSS text is all here,
Ooh.
and then the selector text is here. So it tells you what selector it's going to do. Like, so here's a more
Yeah.
complicated one, like A colon B. The
Right.
selector is A colon B, right?
Oh, so it's done some pre-math for you there, almost like URL does. It has like all the parts are already broken up for you and
Yes,
all.
exactly. So it's like basically built a new like new parts, template
Yeah.
parts or like
Right.
whatever, like yeah, like a location or whatever. Uh, And so it's all built up, and that's kind of super handy because we can like start, you can start kind of playing with this or messing with this or like, I don't know, auditing, like how many times did I, whatever, select div, you can maybe figure that stuff out, if you wanted to. But it's not in the page yet. So the thing we have,
array, by the way, it looked like an array. Can you?
ooh, yeah, it's an object. Let me find it.
Like 1, 2, 3.
Where'd
It's not that
my-
big of a deal, but sometimes that's weird, right? Like, oh, you don't have all the methods you need because
Yeah,
it's not a real array.
Here, we can do. So if you do type of, right, like that's like the trick, and
It'll
then
say
we'll
it's a
reload object.
Oh,
so
it's an object. Yeah, there
so
you
it's
go.
an object, but in these things too, these CSS rule lists come back as objects. So they're not like arrays. They don't quite have array methods. So you have to just do a little coercion to kind of play with them.
Little mappy maps.
Little dot spread it, and then here you go. This is how you get it into the page. The document has an adopted style sheets, okay? And what's cool about
I've
this?
seen that and I thought it was a web components thing, but it's not. It's just an anything thing.
That's just a JavaScript thing. So what would be okay, I'm gonna get to my sources and I'm in a private pin, of course, so that makes it more difficult. Here, I could just switch to debug mode real quick because debug's my friend. And okay, so it's all here, it's all green or whatever. And if I go here, you'll see like there's no style sheet really listed, right? I guess it's in this part here. But if we
That's the
go,
script, yeah.
but what happened is I didn't like create a style
There's
sheet
no
at
link
all.
rel style sheet, right?
There's no link rel style sheet. It's just hanging out in JavaScript. So like you could do like document.stylesheets and let's see. So I have
two. Interesting.
I have two.
Because that's just that was just a setting in the pen. But
Yeah,
it would
yeah.
normally have 0, other than this one.
Yeah, so I did, I haven't even played with this, but that seems to be mad at me. But anyway, so I have like 2 in here, even though I've really kind of only written 1. It's weird, but anyway, what's cool about this is once we have this, like this is fine, but you're writing a bunch of JavaScript or CSS in your JavaScript. That's actually maybe kind of cool if you want like a component or something kind of.
Yeah. Oh, I see
just-
what you're going to do. You're going to that's how we started this podcast. You're going to rip that out and import it rather than.
Yeah. Wouldn't this be better?
Oh,
And then I don't even need this.
right. So this is.
I
you
just-
don't even need
or-
that.
Yeah, I can I can
just say
call that
styles.
style sheet. Yeah.
Is it going to
Yeah.
work? Oh, my
Da da
God.
da da.
Yeah, that's
So-
great. So that first line looks like ESM, right? JavaScript
Mm-hmm.
modules, whatever, an import statement, which is normally for JavaScript. And then recently we saw some movement to allow the importing of JSON, which looked
Mm-hmm.
nice. And now CSS has followed suit here. And if you listen to our podcast, the audio one, we covered some of the drama with that, right? Because they basically are calling this CSS modules.
Yeah, so this is called CSS Modules. I think they kind of pivoted to calling it CSS Module Scripts just to kind of try to smooth over the naming conflict, the collision. I don't know that worked, but whatever. But the key here is cert type equals CSS, or because if you don't have that, it will think it's JavaScript. So it just defaults to JavaScript naturally. So you need that assert type CSS, and that's what like parses out that JavaScript. I could go through and I could console log this, and I get that style sheet object. So that's pretty cool, right? But
Yes.
Christopher,
What?
would you like to go to the next level here?
Yes. I mean, I feel like I can see where you're going because style sheet now is programmatic, not a string.
Yeah,
Can do stuff with it, which seems like kind of the point.
exactly. So because we have like CSS in JS, like literally, we can kind of do some more fun things. And so one of the like most common things is scoping your styles. So using like robo classes or something like that in order to like
Well, that's funny because that's what CSS Modules does. So
More
this
or
is
less, right?
CSS Modules and CSS Modules, which is
So
really
CSS
great.
Modules and CSS Module Scripts.
What else? I mean,
guess,
let's
but-
do that. But
so,
it's
okay.
also funny to brainstorm. Like, what else would you do? Would you like, I don't know, look for super high Z index values and show
No, you
warnings?
could.
Or,
You could outline like Z-index problems or something like that, or you could like, you can. There's kind of maybe some power here, and also you can, if you're authoring JavaScript, you can kind of just do stuff in here. Your CSS. We all have kind of this. I guess it looks more like this, right? Like, but this could be like whatever my thing.div. It could all be scoped there in your actual style sheet file that you're kind of importing. That said, it's probably not like a complete solution for people who are doing like CSS and JS. But anyway, I was playing around the other day and I thought maybe I could get it a little bit closer, because Vue does this thing with data attributes where it like adds a hash to all these data attributes.
It's like slightly different than the CSS Modules approach, but it's the same specificity. I don't know. It feels like a horse apiece to me, but hey.
Yeah, I like it just because I don't know. Like, I like that I am still styling elements in classes and stuff like that. So let me do just a little bit of copy paste. Is that okay? Just to make this go a little bit faster.
Because you blogged this already, right? Like you have some existing code that pulls this off.
Yeah, so I'm just going to do, I got a little style, a template that I'm going to output like a little bit of style so we can kind of see what's going on. I'm going to go here. So I imported that, right? But I'm just going to go and I'm going to go, so I spread that, I loop through all the rules, and I'm going to create some before styles because we're going to kind of play with the styles, right? Like that's why we're doing this, right?
Yeah.
So, and then Dr. Styles, and then what I need to do, I'm going to go through the style output when I'm all done with that, and I'm going to just inject some styles in here. Oh, it's looking horrible. Let me steal some code block.
That's
CSS.
Funny. It's like style output you didn't even define. Is it because it has an ID on it? It's one of those secret things in JavaScript, right? Like, you don't even have to get element by ID style output because it's just on the window object automatically.
It's just there. So this is like our before styles. That's what's getting injected by the style sheet into the style sheet. Okay. So the next thing you can kind of do, and I'm going to try to go very quick here. I created this dumb little function called hashinator. It's based on, it basically adds a hash. It's based on Phineas and Ferb's hashinator. And so it's a hashinator, and you have to say it like that. And it takes a style sheet, and then I provide a scope. Okay, so I'm going to do some scope here because I want to make sure like we can have I'm going to make some scope here, div some boundary, and I'll put it over here. And I'm actually going to clone this inner part, and then and I'll just do HR. So everything like above, I kind of want, see, that's kind of weird. Maybe that's in a P tag. It is in a P tag. So everything above the HR should not be styled, and everything below the HR should hopefully be styled. Actually, that's really weird. Like it's doing that. Oh, because it's in a div.
Oh,
bingo,
div,
bingo. That's why
green.
it's.
Yeah, make it a section or something. I don't know. Who cares?
Oh, whoa. HTML wizard. All right, so it's a section. All right, we solved it. We solved the bug. Okay, so we have the hashinator. What this does is generates a random hash. It's going to actually create a little new style sheet, and then we're going to go query selector, and we're going to add that hash to all the elements. So all the elements in here are going to have a hash, and all the elements in the parent are not. So eventually they will have that. Not yet. What's going on? I haven't called the function. That's why. So let's do, instead of this, right, we're going to hashinator.
There you go.
The style sheet, right? So we called that style sheet. And then we're going to go by some boundary, and that's just a shortcut for document get element by ID some boundary, because IDs like get their own little const basically, right?
Amazing.
kind of wild.
Okay,
that
so
they do
now
that.
if you inspect, they'll have all the
So
hashes.
now if I inspect, and I don't know how to use my browser. So now if you inspect, everything has a data attribute in here. So that's kind of cool,
Wow,
right?
So that is like view then. That's exactly
Pretty
what it
much to view. I'm sure there's some nuance, and I had to do some rules. Like elements are pretty cool to test for. IDs are obviously easy. Starts with a dot, that's fine. Then you append
I
a data
see.
hash. But if it starts with an angle bracket, you have to prepend because you can't like append to it. Anyway, like that's just a weird part of things. And then you basically say the new. You go through all these rules, right? So basically we're updating the CSS text. So we're saying the rule selector text is actually this new selector text. Like we're modifying the selector text. And then, and what's neat about that is it actually updates the whole CSS text that you saw in that JavaScript object. So it's actually going through and it's looping and updating that. And then we're going to replace the style sheet in there.
Right. Once it's
and
all
then
modified. Yeah, cool.
and then we're going to return it. And then we ran the function and we're going against some boundary. So only in this boundary do we add IDs. And look, we did it. Like this
Yeah.
part is not getting styles and this part is getting styles. And I can show you just a little, I have a little way to like loop through the style output here. And you can kind of see what
the
the before and
after.
after looks like. So
Oh,
we get a little bit
how cool.
more fun.
Yeah, it's actually like more versatile than CSS modules is, because CSS modules is like you get classes and that's it. Like literally, you like don't try to like be messing with your.
Yeah, and
IDs
how this works with like boundaries inside boundaries, I don't know. Like this is a very naive solution. I'm not like saying I solved
Yeah, but
whatever
the point
styling
is,
or
hey, look,
anything
you
like
can
that. But
mess with A. You can import A. Number A. You can
number A,
you can
Yes.
import CSS into JavaScript. Cool. Number B, you can manipulate it before you use it, and number C, you can then apply it to any document, whether it's a web component or the entire document or whatever.
kind of however you want to apply it. I mean, like there's a lot of versatility here. So I don't know. There's kind of some valid criticism that's maybe not fully fleshed out, but it's also like brand new. So I think we're starting to see it. It's not even out yet technically, So like I think we're starting to see like, or at least this to me proved like, hey, there's some like possibility here. Like it's not just this dead on arrival API.
Yeah, it's kind
I
of a
think
baby
it's like,
step towards being able to do something that you almost like expect you should be able to do in JavaScript, but you couldn't until now.
Yeah, I think there's a better bridge now between this. And then the next step is they're going to do like HTML modules. So like you're going to be able to import HTML into your JavaScript and that'll have like your templates. It'll kind of come as a HTML template basically. So kind of
That's
cool.
extra good. So now you can import JavaScript, you can import JSON, you can import CSS, and soon you'll be able to import HTML. It feels like that's the kind of, it's like just smart.
I think we're good. I think we're doing, and it's less fetch, less parsing, less blah blah. Like it's really like as and then once you have that object, you can mess with it. So I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, try it out. Let us know if you think it's dumb or cool in the comments. We'd love to know.
Yeah, we would love to know. Pretty cool. Thanks, Dave.